G'day, good morning. Welcome to Ryan Bridge today. It's Tuesday the 17th of February. Great to have your company. On the show this hour, flooding, slips, evacuations and power cuts, the wild weather that's left a trail of destruction across the North Island. Lower Hutt particularly hard hit. We'll speak to them. Christchurch, Canterbury getting whacked this morning. Contact has announced a huge profit, up 44% for the half year, and a warning your power bill will go up again this winter. We look at why and whether the system is broken with Consumer NZ. And moves to ban under 16s from social media are gathering speed. The Kiwis who advised the Aussie government on their ban, what do they think we should do and what will the kids do instead? Chris Hipkins is also live for his regular chat. First, Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The North Island's turning its focus to clean-up as those in the south prepare for the worst of the wild weather. Thousands remain without power across the lower North Island and multiple roads and highways are still blocked. Meanwhile, Banks Peninsula has been facing heavy rain all night and State Highway 37 has been affected by flooding. Wellington Water says it hears the frustration from local residents and is doing all it can to solve the failure at the city's wastewater treatment plant. The company was in the hot seat at a fiery public meeting last night in Kilburnie, where locals had the chance to question the plant's failure. Some residents say they've lost trust in local officials. Chief Operating Officer Charles Barker says turning up and hearing from the community is a key step to reassure Wellingtonians. A member who left the Retail Crime Advisory Group says its citizens' arrest proposal would do more harm than good. The Crimes Amendment Bill is due for its second reading in Parliament and includes law changes allowing people to apprehend offenders. But Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young, who left the advisory group, says she never backed the idea because of the risk to the public. And she says encouraging people to arrest offenders and calling that a solution to retail crime is mischievous. Dentists allege a Health New Zealand dental contract providing free treatment for teens is severely underfunded, leading to fewer practices signing up to deliver it. A report from the Dental Association claims 19 covered treatments are being funded less than individual market rates under the combined dental agreement. It states that there are shortfalls up to $750 per treatment. Dr. Sash Patel says dentists can't absorb those costs. He says every time teenagers are in those chairs, there are adults who can't take up that time. Political parties don't appear to be paying too much attention to the latest poll results. The latest One News Varian poll shows if an election were to be held today, the coalition government would hold on to power with 65 seats. Meanwhile, the preferred Prime Minister race is neck and neck with both Christopher Luxon and Chris Hipkins at 20%. But Newstalk ZB senior political correspondent Barry Soper says everything is within the statistical margin of error. New Zealand exporters are forecasting a strong 2 weeks as Lunar New Year celebrations kick off. Asian communities around the country and the world will be taking part in the 15-day celebration marking the beginning of the Year of the Horse. Exporters of products like honey, dairy and some fruits will also experience a healthy surge in revenue as people follow the tradition of gifting and sharing food. TNG Global Marketing Head Gemma Whiten says sales are looking very strong for its Envy apples compared to 2025.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
High jumper Hamish Kerr has soared over other category winners to land the supreme Halberg Award, ahead of sportswoman Zoe Sadowski-Sinnott, para-athlete Danielle Aitchison and the Black Fern Sevens. Blues and All Blacks flanker Dalton Papali'i will depart New Zealand rugby later this year to join French side Castres Olympique on a 3-season deal. Australia's hopes of advancing beyond the pool stage at cricket's T20 World Cup are fading after Sri Lanka chased 182 to beat them by 8 wickets at Pallekele.
Time now is 3 minutes after 7. So this morning and today you're going to hear a lot about the cost of fixing roads and pipes and really just basic stuff that we all use and we all pay for through rates and taxes. Chris Bishop is giving a speech this afternoon releasing a bit of a strategy You don't need to look far to see why we need to keep on top of things like this. Look at Bromley, look at Moa Point in Wellington. Pick a North Island town on the map and dot a pin on it at the moment with the weather. And if we don't want the rain washing away that bridge or that railway line, we're going to need to invest, aren't we? Of course, this is not rocket science. It's fixing boring, basic stuff. Does that sound familiar? Yes. It's what Luxon has been banging on about since he got into power. And despite what some may say about his likeability, he trumps his opponent in this regard, doesn't he? Focusing on the basic core stuff. He's been from day one essentially doing that. Bishop reckons the cost of repair to modernise the infrastructure to actually look after it is anywhere between $100 and $200 billion. How much money is that even? I don't know. It's too big. I was reading at the weekend about Whanganui. New bridge needed, $70-odd million for a new bridge in Whanganui. That is one bridge in one city. So the question is, once we all find out this afternoon just how bad the situation is, do we do something about it? Or do we carry on expecting handouts for Africa, money for non-essential items? The question really is, do we even know the meaning of essential anymore?
Herald Now weather.
Good morning. Still a little bit of weather left over from our low pressure system after a wet and windy night for eastern parts of the South Island. The low, though, is weakening and sinking south with just heavy rain watches and warnings in place, expiring at 10 this morning for Canterbury and Christchurch, 6 p.m. tonight for Banks Peninsula and 9 p.m. for Dunedin. So not a great start for O Week with the heavy rain for Dunedin not easing till tonight. Southwesterlies 2 for the city with a high of 14. It's not too bad for the north and west of the island, but there will still be a feed of rain to the east, with both the wind and rain gradually easing this afternoon. It is an improving trend for the lower North Island, with the showers clearing later in the day and winds dying out early tonight. Looking mainly fine here, not completely dry, but plenty of fine spells, with most of the showers hitting late afternoon or tonight for Tauranga. And apart from a few clouds and the odd shower, it's mostly fine for the upper north. Winds will be light during the day with a sea breeze for Auckland.
Time now 7:06. Let's go to the North Island storm now. Yesterday it was Wellington, Lower Hutt really badly hit. Stokes Valley, the road was said to be disintegrating. We'll speak to the Mayor in a second. Our reporter Billy Payne spoke with one couple who said it's definitely the worst flooding they've ever seen.
The river breaches its banks, and then we just see the water creeping up on our berm, closer and closer to the walls of the house.
It went under the house too, unfortunately. So
no, this is the worst.
Yeah.
We've been here
15 years.
Yeah. And it does flood in heavy rain, but this is the worst it has been.
Yeah, and sort of how concerning was it to watch it slowly rise and knowing it was going under the house?
Well, I mean, we were worried that it would actually get up to the house and so start flooding inside the house. So the council said call 111, and 111 said call back if it floods inside your house. But so we just got boxes, and we got stuff that we have on the floor and lifted it up off the floor to protect it. I suppose it's still a bit of a worry it might come back, but hopefully not.
Right, let's go to Joe Miller, the Hutt City Council Chief Executive, with us this morning. Joe, good morning.
Morena, good morning, Ryan.
Good morning, good to have you. So how's things this morning, Joe?
A lot better than they were this time yesterday morning, Ryan. We obviously had a massive amount of damage yesterday, especially tree debris. We had to evacuate 10 families. The Waifa 2 topped its banks. We had 7,500, 10 at the worst, homes without power. A lot better this morning. And our teams have been out through the night monitoring, looking at the high tides. We've had some slips, but we're on to clean up now.
What about the parts of the road people said were disintegrating? Is that an exaggeration?
No, that's in Stokes Valley. Our team are on it. That was a water main that burst. And I heard you talk about the costs of infrastructure. We spend $80 in every 100 on water and transport. And we've tripled the amount of repairs and renewals we're doing in the last 5 years. But it's still not enough. So it's a real challenge.
How much more do you think you will need? I mean, you could spend $100 out of $100 and presumably still need more.
You could spend $100 out of $100 and you wouldn't have had the emergency response team we had yesterday looking after everybody and people using our facilities as well. We've just got to sort out funding and financing in this country to make sure we keep on top of our infrastructure, which, the whole country has fallen behind with over the last 3 decades.
Joe, will the new Wellington water entity that's coming in the middle of this year, will that solve any of your problems?
The new water entity will help in that it's able to borrow over a much longer period and so spread the money out, if you like, over a generation. But fundamentally, we're not paying enough to invest in our infrastructure, and I'm afraid we have to sort that out.
So what does that mean? More rates?
Well, it will mean water charges pay for that, and we've consistently said to the government we need to sort this out between us.
So what do you, when you say water charges, what do you mean?
So at the 1st of July, Ryan, your rates bill will be split in two. The non-water stuff stays with the council. The other half goes to the new water entity. Both bills go up, and that will pay for things over time, but it won't solve everything.
How much for your average Hutt City household? How much extra are we talking a year for them?
So we haven't made those decisions yet, but I do know that on average, if councillors make the decisions that we think they might make in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be looking on average of a rates rise per residential property for the council staff of about $4.60, so almost half a block of butter.
For the year?
Or per week, half a block of butter a week. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not an insignificant amount of money at all for people, especially at the moment. But if we do that, okay, let's go with this, Joe, and the council agrees and the people pay it, do all these problems go away?
But we will continue to focus most of our resource on reinvesting in infrastructure. That's what the councillors and the mayor are really clear about. It won't solve the problems of 3 decades in 3 months or 3 years.
Joe, appreciate your time this morning. Best of luck with the clean-up today. That's Joe Miller, the Hutt City Council Chief Executive, times 11 after 7 now. If you've got feedback for us this morning, maybe you're in the Hutt and you have a view on the extra half pound of butter that you'll be paying in rates per week if this council decision goes ahead, Ryan at nzherald.co.nz, and then look outside and look at the streets and say, maybe, can we be reasonable about when someone comes to us and says we need more money? Our instinct is to go, bugger off. But if it's for something like the road that's disintegrating, I think people will be reasonable. But you want to make sure that that is 100% where the money is going, that it's a ring-fenced amount, that you're not also going to fund, disco loos and whatever the hell else. Right, let's go to 11 after 7 now to Hawaii. The Kilauea volcano has erupted there, firing fountains of lava and ash into the sky. Quite dramatic footage for you this morning. This is one of the world's most active volcanoes. You've probably seen it erupt before. It marks its 42nd episode since a series of eruptions began back in December of 2024. The plume from the latest eruption reached more than 10,000 metres high. That's big. In the UK, an Amazon delivery driver ended up stuck in the Thames estuary after following directions from his sat-nav, which is never a good idea. The driver was forced to abandon his van in rising waters on a walking path known as the Broomway. He was trying to get to an island in the Thames estuary to deliver a package. Coast Guard says the path is not for vehicles and should only be walked on with a guide who knows the mudflats and knows what they're doing. Honestly, what's wrong with people? Contact Energy is reporting soaring profits this year, up 44% for the half year, but they're also hinting at further price hikes. John Duffy, Consumer NZ Chief Executive, with us this morning. John, good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Let's look at the result first of all for Contact. There's a capital raise going on, more than $500 million. And which they're going to invest into renewables, a whole bunch of stuff. They've also had a pretty good result, and they're also signalling price hikes. So let's start with the capital raise. Investing in renewables, good idea?
I think it's a great idea. Look, the Minister of Finance signalled this last year. She said she'd welcome the gentailers going out and doing a capital raise, and she'd move any barriers out of the way to stop them doing that. This is good, sensible business strategy to build up our resilience by increasing renewable generation.
And the increase in net profit, they say, when you invest, which they have been doing, when you invest, then you should be expected. It's not unreasonable to expect that you would see an increase in profit too.
Yeah, look, there's a scale issue here. The more turnover a business has, you would hope the bigger their profit gets, even though the percentage of that turnover that profit might represent might stay the same. But, look, there is a recurring theme here with the gentailers. So every year, someone draws the short straw and is the first gentailer to have to go out and announce massive profits. And typically their talking points are kind of the same. The need for investment, the need, to pay good dividends, to attract investment. And all these things are true. But each year it's wrapped up like this year, the year being reported as sort of an anomaly, but actually it's not. Profits have been consistently high for a number of years, and power prices have continued to increase to the point now that, increasing numbers of average New Zealanders are struggling to pay their power bills. So something isn't working quite right there in my view.
I agree. It's hard to pay your bloody power bill, John, but most of the increase is lines charges, isn't it? Which is not them.
This year, that's quite right. The increases that are about to hit are attributed to lines charges. So lines companies are regulated by the Commerce Commission. Every 4 years, the Commerce Commission sets what the price can be for the 4 years following. So there's a big jump. That's something the problem with that has been communicated to the Commerce Commission to say that actually that big jump is not very nice on consumers, and we should look to smooth that pathway out. But other increases that Contact have indicated are not attributable to the lines increase. They will be looking to increase their profits, no doubt, hopefully to invest in more generation. But equally, if you're a Contact shareholder, you'll probably be pretty pleased because it probably means there's more dividends coming your way.
Right, John, we'll leave it there. Thanks for your time this morning. John Duffy, Consumer NZ Chief Executive. It's just gone 16 minutes after 7. By the way, Contact says that the increase they're expecting to see over the coming year will be for inflation, just basically in line with inflation, so 3%. And then on top of that will be an increase to the lines charge, not necessarily them increasing prices. Right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the Freightways boss on the state of the New Zealand economy. It's always a good bellwether. They had their results yesterday. And then the big salmon statue in Rakaia has been hit by a Greenpeace campaign against dairy farming. I think what's most shocking about this story is not what Greenpeace has done, but the fact they just refurbished it, the salmon, and how much the refurbishment actually cost them. That's straight ahead.
Term deposit rates are falling, but your returns shouldn't. Speak to a Forsyth Barr investment advisor about alternative strategies, their benefits and risks, and how they can help you meet your investment goals. Forsyth Barr, investment advice.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, who's got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
Hey, Dad.
What's up? What's up?
You know that's from the 90s, right?
So's this fuel price. 6 cents off per litre on the Gallop, even on top of discount day.
That's what's up.
Download the Gallop. What's up?
Welcome back. It is 18 minutes after 7. Logistics firm Freightways has posted a strong first half result, growing revenue 8.5%. Net profit solid, 52.5 million for the half year. That's up 17.2% on the year prior. And basic earnings per share up to 29.3 cents a share. Mark Troe here is Chief Executive, joins us now. Mark, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ryan.
Are you pleased with that?
Yeah, look, I think our teams have done a great job over the half year. Performance pretty much across all of the divisions of Freightways. So, look, I think particularly in the economic environment we're in here in New Zealand, really happy with that.
What is because we always talk about Freightways giving us a sort of an insight into the economy. What are you seeing? How are you feeling about it?
I think what you start to see in New Zealand is just a little bit of traction. So remember, for the last 3 years, customers have been trading down. For the first time in this last 6 months, we've seen customers trading up, only slightly, but there's a positive trend there, and we think that'll continue.
People sending, well, obviously not doing as much mail, but doing more parcels. Are you benefiting from that?
The e-commerce part of what we do is only about 20%. So the majority of what we do is business to business. We're shifting, could be auto parts from a distributor to a mechanic, so car can be fixed on the day and back on the road. So there's an awful lot of business to business freight we handle. The business to consumer part of it, so that's your online shopping, that's been pretty constant for us for the last 3 or 4 years.
And in terms of I saw a piece that you had been mentioned in, Mark, where you talked about the levy on mail versus courier or versus packages. Can you explain what that is, what your issue is with it?
Yeah, exactly. So what Customs have decided to do is that there's a lot more volume coming over the border, and Customs need to recover their costs for checking and screening that freight, which we 100% agree with. We have no issue with that. The issue we do have is that those items can come over the border through commercial operators like ourselves, a FedEx, a DHL, etc. And Customs will charge $2.21 an item. Or they can come through the mail and Customs will charge them $1.28 per kilo. Now, the average item's probably half a kilo. So there's a big disparity in cost there. The irony of that is if it comes through us, we provide Customs with digital data on who it came from, who it's going to, what it is, what the value is. If it comes as mail, Customs don't get any of that data. And yet we are forced to pay in that instance up to 4 times as much. So that's our issue. Our issue is an equity issue rather than an issue with Customs recovering their true costs.
Have you spoken to government about it? What have they told you?
Yeah, we've been talking to government for at least 9 months, backwards and forwards. I think they struggle to get their head around that. They seem to think that some of these Chinese e-commerce businesses in particular won't shift their volume into the mail stream. And we're not 100% sure, but it's a risk. And we have a reasonable amount of volume coming into our network from offshore, and we don't want to lose it, frankly.
Yeah, which is fair enough too. Speaking of offshore, last time we spoke, I think you had done that deal over in Victoria and Australia to purchase the logistics business. Got a mind to doing any more acquisitions?
Yeah, look, we'll keep looking. Really happy with VTFE, so welcomed them to the family 2 weeks ago. They joined Freightways. They're a Victorian-centric business, so we're pretty keen to keep looking around the other states in Australia so we can build out a national footprint. So we'll look in New South Wales and Queensland, WA, South Australia, etc. Yes, so very much got our eyes open for more opportunity.
Mark, you know New Zealand Post, how they are basically not picking up mail anymore. They're essentially a courier company. Does that annoy you?
Look, what annoyed, I don't mind having competition, that's great, but I think the shareholder of New Zealand Post, which would be you and me and a whole lot of other taxpayers, should get a return. And so that's my issue. And we see some of their pricing behaviour in the courier market. So our issue is, if you're a shareholder and you put a lot of money into a business, like has gone into their courier business, you should get a return from it. And getting a return is pretty simple. You make sure your revenue is higher than your cost, and you make sure your revenue is higher by making sure your price is right for what you're doing. So, so that bit gets my goat a little bit right.
Mark, when you say pricing behaviour in the market, what do you mean?
Well, I've had plenty of examples where New Zealand Post reps have wanted into my customers, offering them rates that are a quantum cheaper without knowing, in fact, what the rates are that my business has. So that kind of behaviour from a government-owned courier company, yeah, that gets my goat.
Is that are they deliberately trying to undercut you, or are they just kind of clueless in that they should probably know what their competition's doing?
I'm not so sure they should know what the competition's doing, but they should know what their costs are, and then you price above your cost. That's how you make a margin. To us, that seems fairly straightforward.
Well, you would have thought so, Mark. Let's say the government sells them, would you buy them?
Oh, look, I doubt we would be allowed to. I don't think the Commerce Commission would.
Comcom might not like it.
Yeah, would probably allow that. We're not advocating for them to be sold. We're simply saying, as a shareholder, it'd be quite nice to get a return on your money. It'd be nice if they paid a bit of tax, paid a dividend. That'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Mark, always good to chat. Thanks for coming on the show this morning. Good to see you.
Good stuff. Cheers.
That's Mark Trohere, who's Freightways Chief Executive. Right, time for a quick break. When we come back, the big salmon statue in Rakaia has been hit by a Greenpeace campaign against dairy farming, and the Mayor's not happy. We'll also ask the Mayor about the weather, because it's meant to be hitting the south, particularly Canterbury, quite hard this morning, 25 after 7.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Still can't get enough.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
Know more of the story with Herald Premium, giving you full access to in-depth news, opinion and analysis, with more world news, business insights, and investigative reports from our world-class team of journalists. Plus subscriber-only functionality to comment on stories, access newspaper e-editions, gift articles, and enjoy crosswords and puzzles. Subscribe now to Herald Premium.
Welcome back. It is 27 minutes after 7. Great to have your company this morning. By the way, the Halbergs last night, you might have heard Neva mention in her bulletin that Supreme winner last night went to, for the first time since 2018, to a man. Hamish Kerr has won the Supreme Award. Congratulations to him. Tom Walsh was the last bloke to win it back in 2018. So he won this is Hamish Kerr, the indoor world record last year. Also obviously got the gold medal at the Olympics in Paris. So big congratulations to him. James Sandilands, or Jimmy as he calls him, his coach, won Coach of the Year. They're both with us after 8 o'clock this morning. Right. The mid-Canterbury town of Rakaia has had its famous salmon statue vandalised. Greenpeace has claimed responsibility. I'm sure we've got a picture for you. Just weeks after the salmon had undergone a $300,000 refurbishment paid for by the ratepayers, they've done this, the little circle with the cross on the eye. That's from Greenpeace. Police investigating. Liz McMillan, Ashburton Mayor with us. Liz, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you. First of all, how's the weather? Any damage to report thus far, or how was last night?
It's been raining heavily for all night, so yeah, no damage that I've heard of, but yeah, pretty wet.
All right. Well, hopefully everybody's keeping safe. Liz, the statue that we've just seen the photo of, so do you have any, do you know who, I mean, obviously they've sort of claimed responsibility for it. Presumably that's how we know it was Greenpeace.
Yeah, I saw something posted up on their Facebook page So it looks like it was done at sort of about 8:30 or early morning on the Sunday. We're not sure how it was attached. A lot of people thought the eye was it was just an AI image and it wasn't actually real. But yeah, it's still up there. We're just waiting for the weather to settle down before we can go in and assess the damage and see what's going on.
I mean, that sounds all very technical. It's just a sticker, isn't it, Liz? Can't you just rip it off, get a ladder up there?
You probably could. Well, no, you couldn't because it's pretty high. We'll need to get some sort of
cherry picker.
Cherry picker or something like that to go in and I mean, it's just recently been painted. It's only been back up in the last couple of weeks after the restoration, and so yeah, that's probably why we're so disappointed, because we'd had so much goodwill from the community to get it back up there.
Liz, we're just looking at pictures of it being trucked around. Can I just say It looks better? It looks quite good on the truck. Have you thought of just parading it around town like that?
No, we haven't. But interesting fact, when it was first commissioned, it paraded through the Christchurch Square to get a blessing from the wizard before it came into Rakaia. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great statue. So many people stop there and take their photos. It's a real icon of Rakaia, of mid-Canterbury. So, yeah, just disappointing that this has happened.
Liz, my question from reading into this morning is how on earth did a paint job, a refurb, cost $300,000 for a fish?
So it was up to $300,000, and there was, I think the refurb itself was just over $200,000, and it was done by the original artist, so Phil Price, who made the sculpture 36 years ago, came back to do it, and he painted. There was a lot of individual sort of painting of the scales, and it came out of our reserve contributions, so no cost to the ratepayers.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right then. I'll forget about it. What's your message to Greenpeace? Because apparently they're protesting dairy farming. What is your and ironically they've used plastic and paint to make their point, which is not great for the environment. But let's overlook that for a second, Liz. What is your message to them?
Look, it's their right to protest. We get that, but just leave our community assets alone.
Appreciate your time this morning. Take care in that weather. Liz McMillan, who's the Ashburton Mayor. Time is coming up to 7:30 very quickly. Just returning to Europe for a second, if we can. You know how Trump has been telling the Europeans to get your act together and spend more on defence. Well, now, and giving them a bit of a slapdown. Now the Europeans are giving the Europeans a slapdown because they're not doing it quick enough. They all pledged 5% of GDP for NATO by 2035. You might remember that. They made the pledge last year and everyone was like, oh, great, finally, they're taking some responsibility for their own backyard. Well, they're not doing very well at keeping up with the promise. Germany is now calling out France. And there's a great little graph this morning. I think it's the Wall Street Journal. I found this one in the Guardian. There we go. NATO spending as a proportion of GDP. So they want to get to 5%. By 2028 to 2030, Germany is expected to hit 3.5%. So good on you, Germany. You're getting up there. Italy 2%. UK 2.5%. Poland 4.8% because they're on Russia's back door, so of course they've got interest in doing that. France 2.3%. So France is the poor cousin, and quite literally, because if you look at in the EU, if you look at their debt burden as a proportion of GDP, they are now third worst in the EU behind Greece and Italy. So go figure, they got no money. 27 away from 8. Here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
The North Island's turning its focus to clean-up as those in the south prepare for the worst of the wild weather. Thousands remain without power across the lower North Island, and multiple roads and highways are still blocked. Meanwhile, Banks Peninsula has been facing heavy rain all night, and State Highway 37 has been affected by flooding. Wellington Water says it hears the frustration from local residents and is doing all it can to solve the failure at the city's wastewater treatment plant. The company was in the hot seat at a fiery public meeting last night in Kilburnie, where locals had the chance to question the plant's failure. Some residents say they've lost trust in local officials. Chief Operating Officer Charles Barker says turning up and hearing from the community is a key step to reassure Wellingtonians. A member who left the Retail Crime Advisory Group says its citizens' arrest proposal would do more harm than good. The Crimes Amendment Bill is due for its second reading in Parliament and includes law changes allowing people to apprehend offenders. But Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young, who left the advisory group, says she never backed the idea because of the risk to the public. And she says encouraging people to arrest offenders and calling that a solution to retail crime is mischievous. Dentists allege a Health New Zealand dental contract providing free treatment for teens is severely underfunded, leading to fewer practices signing up to deliver it. A report from the Dental Association claims 19 covered treatments are being funded less than individual market rates under the combined dental agreement. It states that there are shortfalls up to $750 per treatment. Dr. Sash Patel says dentists can't absorb those costs. He says every time teenagers are in those chairs, there are adults who can't take up that time. Political parties don't appear to be paying too much attention to the latest poll results. The latest One News Varian poll shows if an election were to be held today, the coalition government would hold on to power with 65 seats. Meanwhile, the preferred Prime Minister race is neck and neck with both Christopher Luxon and Chris Hipkins at 20%. But Newstalk ZB senior political correspondent Barry Soper says everything is within the statistical margin of error. New Zealand exporters are forecasting a strong 2 weeks as Lunar New Year celebrations kick off. Asian communities around the country and the world will be taking part in the 15-day celebration marking the beginning of the Year of the Horse. Exporters of products like honey, dairy and some fruits will also experience a healthy surge in revenue as people follow the tradition of gifting and sharing food. TNG Global Marketing Head Gemma Whiten says sales are looking very strong for its Envy apples compared to 2025.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
High jumper Hamish Kerr has soared over other category winners to land the supreme Halberg Award, ahead of sportswoman Zoe Sadowski-Sinnott, para-athlete Danielle Aitchison and the Black Fern Sevens. Blues and All Blacks flanker Dalton Papali'i will depart New Zealand rugby later this year to join French side Castres Olympique on a 3-season deal. Australia's hopes of advancing beyond the pool stage at cricket's T20 World Cup are fading after Sri Lanka chased 182 to beat them by 8 wickets at Pallekele.
Oscar-winning actor Robert Duvall has died at the age of 95. The veteran actor's career spanned 6 decades, and he was best known for his roles in The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. According to a statement from his family this morning, Duvall died peacefully at his home in Virginia.
Herald Now Weather.
Good morning. Still a little bit of weather left over from our low pressure system after a wet and windy night for eastern parts of the South Island. The low, though, is weakening and sinking south with just heavy rain watches and warnings in place, expiring at 10 this morning for Canterbury and Christchurch, 6 p.m. tonight for Banks Peninsula and 9 p.m. for Dunedin. So not a great start for O Week with the heavy rain for Dunedin not easing till tonight. Southwesterlies too for the city with a high of 14. It's not too bad for the north and west of the island, but there will still be a feed of rain to the east, with both the wind and rain gradually easing this afternoon. It is an improving trend for the lower North Island, with the showers clearing later in the day and winds dying out early tonight. Looking mainly fine here, not completely dry, but plenty of fine spells, with most of the showers hitting late afternoon or tonight for Tauranga. And apart from a few clouds and the odd shower, it's mostly fine for the upper north. Winds will be light during the day with a sea breeze for Auckland.
Time now for politics. Joining us from Parliament is Labour leader Chris Hipkins for his weekly chat. Chris, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, we've got Chris Bishop apparently setting out the infrastructure deficit this afternoon with the bill for modernising, maintaining infrastructure, anywhere between $100 billion and $200 billion. Geez, that's a lot of money. Do you think, if you get back into power, given where we've been with the storms and with, Mole Point and with Bromley and a whole bunch of other stuff, do you think infrastructure will be, up there with health in terms of priority spends?
It has to be up there in terms of priorities. I hope it doesn't end up being as much of a political football as it's been in the past, because ultimately we need to get on and do this work. We set up the Infrastructure Commission to try and take some of the politics out of infrastructure investment, because the chopping and changing of infrastructure priorities over the last 30 or 40 years is one of the reasons we're in the mess we're in now. So I'm going to be interested to see what the government come out with, and we'll be looking at that closely. But the more we can get behind stability and certainty around the infrastructure we've got to build, the better it's going to be for the country.
Can you just clarify what you mean by important infrastructure? Because when you were last in government, you were trying to build a bike bridge over the Waitemata for $750 million. Would you do that again?
Well, that project clearly didn't make it past the business case stage because it was going to be far too expensive for what we were going to get. But we've got things like water infrastructure that needs to be upgraded, schools and hospitals that need to be upgraded or replaced, roads that need to be fixed. Yes, our public transport infrastructure does also require significant investment. Active transport modes require investment. So there is a lot of work for
cycleways.
The country.
You're talking about cycleways there.
Yeah.
I mean,
cycleways and footpaths actually matter.
Do they? I mean, I asked this question. I got criticised for asking this question. I don't know why. It's a basic question, but isn't it more important to go to the toilet than ride a bike?
Well, kids used to ride their bikes and walk on the footpath to school, and increasing numbers of them don't anymore. That's adding more cars to the road, and it's also not as good for the kids. I want my kids to be able to bike freely, to walk freely in their neighbourhood that they live in, and I think that's a hope that a lot of New Zealanders have.
Totally, it's a hope. There's great things about hope, but also you want them to be able to swim and drink water that's not contaminated. First, surely. I mean, it's about priorities, right? So where's the priority? Let's go through number 1 through 5 for Chippy.
Well, but that's one of the things that this plan is designed to achieve, and we'll be interested to see where the government have landed on it. We can't build everything all at once, but we need to get the balance right. So we do need to be investing in the stuff that's boring that people can't see. One of the reasons as a country we've underinvested in water infrastructure is pipes below the ground are not front of mind for most people until they stop working, and then suddenly everyone's like, why hasn't this pipe been maintained? But maintenance also draws a lot of complaints. So if you're sitting around a council table, you know that when you rip up pipes, people complain about that because it causes a lot of disruption. And so we've got to tackle some of the boring stuff that can actually be a bit annoying. Maintaining pipes is very annoying for people, but it has to happen.
Yeah, and happen ahead of, this is what I'm getting at. Where's your, can you list us your top 3, if you were to name the 3 priority areas, what would they be?
Well, let's see what the government have come out with, because I'm not.
Well, what are you coming out
with? We're trying to take some of the politics out of this. So I'm not going to come up with a separate set of priorities if what the government come up with is sensible and we can keep things moving forward. I think it's really important that we don't keep chopping and changing our priorities as a country. So the Infrastructure Commission have been trying to take the politics out of it. That is their brief. That's what we set them up to do, and the current government have continued with that work. If what they're doing is looking at it objectively and saying, hey, look, over the next 30 years, this is what the country needs to invest in, and here's the sort of sequence that we should be making that investment. If that's sensible and it stacks up, then I'd rather support that than go and say, oh, look, for campaigning purposes, we're going to come up with a whole different list.
All right. Hey, the FTA, has the government come back to you on your letter yet? Have you had a meeting with them? I think from what my reading of it, and talking to the ministers, the education stuff we can sort of get sorted. The migrant exploitation stuff we can get sorted. But the investment issue, whether this is some sort of ambition rather than a hard and fast, is quite a crucial one that's still unresolved. Is that fair?
Well, the investment clause is certainly causing us a little bit of anxiety. In India, if you look at what the Indian government are saying about this, they're saying that this is a commitment by New Zealand to invest in India, and if we don't meet that commitment, they can take away the benefits that the trade agreement provides us. In New Zealand, we've got our minister saying, oh, this is just a vague aspiration and we don't actually have to do it. I think we really need to understand exactly which version of that is true, because if it is a commitment on the part of New Zealand, we are unlikely to ever be able to meet that. 33 billion New Zealand dollars going from New Zealand to investment in India at a time when we're saying to the rest of the world, please come and invest in New Zealand, seems somewhat of a contradictory message.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It needs to be sorted out. Have they come back to you yet on your letter?
No, I haven't had a response from them yet.
Okay. Not even we've received your letter?
I don't know about that, but I haven't.
That's too much admin. Hey, just before we go, Eden Park. Well, actually, two quick things. Eden Park, got to be a great thing, unless you're Helen Clark, got to be a great thing. And also the investment visa, the money that we're getting, what's been committed and what's coming. These things, surely you've got to be on board with.
Yeah, fully support the changes around Eden Park. I think that's going to be good for Auckland. Attracting more major events to Auckland will be a good thing. Attracting more major events to New Zealand overall will be a good thing. Getting people coming into New Zealand and investing money in New Zealand is also a good thing. But again, it underscores the importance of getting these trade agreements right, because we're working so hard to attract investment into New Zealand. For the government to then turn around and say we're going to push all that money back out again and send it to another country seems, pretty concerning.
Yeah. I didn't ask you for your opinions on the poll, but I'm assuming they're, same as they were last time. I mean, not much shifting. Government's still being re-elected?
Well, it's far too early to make that prediction yet, Ryan. I mean, if you go back 3 years ago, Labour was on track to be re-elected at this point in election year. That didn't turn out so well for us. The trend matters in polling, and the trend is bad for the government and positive for Labour. So I take some encouragement from that. But all MMP elections are close, and this is going to be a close election.
All right, Chris, appreciate your time this morning as always. Thank you. Chris Hipkins, the Labour leader with us from the Beehive Theatrette in Parliament. Next, it's business, thanks to our partners 2 Degrees, and then how AI's insatiable need for memory is pushing up the price of new laptops and phones. We've got tech with Peter Griffin before 8.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 Degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then. Mm-hmm.
We done few subdivision with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
Speaking to the acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of it? You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university. My message to the union is very clear. Don't use...
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
Time now to talk business thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. The cost of wharves for the new Cook Strait ferries will blow out by hundreds of millions of dollars. Oh, not this again. That's the dramatic claim being made by backers of a rival plan for a new South Island ferry terminal. Of course, they would say that, wouldn't they? What do we make of all this? Garth Bray, host of Herald Now Business, joins me. Garth, good morning.
Good morning, Rod. I feel you've summed it up with your reaction to that introduction there, which clearly came as a surprise. Yeah, this is, look, we'll take a look at some pictures. This is the Clifford Bay Wharf Project, or the North-South Express, which wants to try and do this near Lake Grasmere, a bit further down the coast from the Picton port, obviously. And it's saying, look, yeah, that'll cost $950 $27 million, and Treasury's already looked at it, and they've got a bid in with the National Infrastructure Financing and Funding people to say this is what we could do. They've come out of the blocks saying, hey, look, their latest attempt to sort of chip away at the Picton project, which is the one that's going ahead under Ferry Holdings. This is to deal with the new rail rolling, the ferries.
Winston's ferries, if we're going to call them that. They're saying that, that's estimated at $531 million to sort of sort things out on the wharf sides, with the Port of Marlborough paying about $110 million. They're saying, no, our numbers say different. We think that it's going to be more like $967 million to try and do this. Where's that all coming from? They're claiming that there's a, big chunk of the contingencies in the Cook Strait Ferry project are going to be spent there, that there's going to be another $200 million in unscoped works. They're saying there's probably another $35 million they need to allow for a truck park, $41 million in unscoped works, unavoidable costs. I mean, to be honest, we're familiar with this kind of talk when it comes for infrastructure projects. You could have made the same claims about CRL and been dead right. Yeah.
So this is plausible.
I was going to say, will anyone be surprised? Like, yes, they have a vested interest in trying to poo-poo this idea.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm kind of believing them.
Yeah, well, obviously the people that are building it, the rivals are saying not a bit of it. Our spokesperson for the port has been talking to our Thomas Manch at our business desk, who's been all across this for a couple of days, probably longer actually, and he's saying that material from Clifford Bay Group is out of date, inaccurate, contains multiple false assumptions. We've spent $500,000 on the truck park. The $35 million. We don't have visibility over where that figure comes from, which is polite for calling it complete BS.
Yeah, all right.
So, we'll see where this comes from, but it's
We'll come back and visit this when we get the bill.
They are still pushing this hard, though, that's the thing.
Garth, we're getting closer to AI agents apparently being able to pay for stuff with our credit cards.
If we let them, yes. This is a great story Chris Kerr on the Herald's talking about today. This is Agent Pay, which is MasterCard's attempt to try and enable your card to be able to seamlessly use your payment data to be able to make transactions, and particularly MasterCard pushing this because obviously they want to be at the forefront of all this for two reasons. One, because security of payment, a credit card, basically, if they accept it, then they cover the liability and all that kind of stuff if something goes wrong. And also, they want to be the people that are connecting us with businesses rather than, say, Google search engines. So they're really trying to get themselves into the picture there. But I think the trial that's talked about there is using sort of, the staff using it basically for MasterCard, saying that you've still got some button clicks you put in there to check that the human is paying attention, but ultimately you'll be able to buy a movie ticket or queue for, concert tickets by just telling your AI, I'd be prepared to pay as much as $300 to see Metallica, get in the queue and see what you can do for me. And that's, I guess, the thing is it's taking some of that boring admin out of life.
Yeah, all right.
For a price. I mean, we'll just see where it all lands up. There's more interesting detail in that story if you take a look.
Speaking of movie tickets, some moves in the Warner Brothers Discovery sale battle, which I have a vested interest in, I must declare, because we got a bunch of free shares when we worked there.
Right, well, I was more thinking about this from the point of view of Wuthering Heights, because the movie opened this weekend to great acclaim and so on. We've got a few teasers and bits and pieces for those of you that haven't seen it yet. Some people say it's a great little romp. $76.8 million globally this is made, likely to close on $82 million. We're talking US dollars by the end of what's a long weekend in the States, President's holiday. And I was thinking about, this is kind of Heathcliff's revenge on the Lintons and the Earnshaws to get back with Kathy. Paramount has jumped back into the frame like a suitor scorned, and it wants to try and it said it'll pay that $2.8 billion break fee that Netflix is owed.
Yes.
If they cut the deal, and it's pushing
they really
that sort
want
of
it.
ticking payment, the $650 million US cash they would offer each quarter. The deal doesn't close in 2027. So apparently the Warner's board is now back saying, okay, we have to look at whether this is a superior offer. They've got until next week to sort of make a decision about that, and then if they go back and say, okay, we'll consider it, then things reopen with Netflix. But, the shareholder vote could still go ahead as early as sort of the middle of next March.
Okay.
If the SEC says you're
I'm
fine.
just looking, because last night I actually went to sell some of them. So their share price hasn't actually gone up as a result of this offer.
No, it's been off a little bit just lately. I think it dropped a wee bit, and likewise Netflix and so on. But, is it an offer they can't refuse, as Robert Duvall didn't say in The Godfather? That was Marlon Brando, another one of his great movies.
Right, and we're down a rabbit hole. Garth.
Completely interesting. Warner's put $8 million into the movie, Netflix offered $150 million to make the movie, but the director said, no, I want a big, wide theatrical release for this. So interesting, similar to what Paramount's offering. There you go. From Heathcliff back to Clifford Bay. We've covered the lot in business this morning.
We certainly have, Garth. Thank you very much. As always, host of Herald Now Business, Garth Bray, and that's thanks to our partners, Forsyth Bar. It's just gone 7 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Right, Contact Energy posted a half-year net profit increase of 44% to about $200 million yesterday, and at the same time they're announcing a surprise, at least that's what the pundits are calling it, capital raise of $500 million. They want renewable energy investment done, and on ZB this morning I spoke with Oliver Mander, who's with the Shareholders Association, Chief Executive there. I started off by asking if he thought this was a surprise.
In all honesty, it probably wasn't, and yes, I know I'm out on a bit of a limb around that, but the sector has well signalled a large amount of capital required for new generation assets in New Zealand, and that's also driven by Contact's own strategy as they invest more in renewable energy projects, and also, of course, that wider concept of decarbonisation. So, look, in all honesty, no. I think and I don't think Contact will be the last. We'll probably see other capital raises coming up later in the year. Well, also really interesting to note for us late last year, the government actually signalling that they would be willing to support further capital equity injection into the 3 mixed ownership companies. So that's Genesis, Meridian, and Mercury as well. So no, for me, not a surprise. Probably a surprise for many analysts. Given that Contact had previously signalled that it could meet those investments out of its own cash flow. But obviously the advancement of some projects means that they have a need to look to raise capital on the market.
And if you're an existing shareholder, what do you do with this information? Because it kind of dilutes your equity, doesn't it?
It does. Look, I think the important thing is you make an active decision. It is a share purchase plan, so there's no value to be gained as a shareholder by simply doing nothing. You actually have to look at your own situation and say, is this for me? Is this something I want to invest further in? The nature of the raise means that there's some dilution attached. That's quite right. I think it's somewhere between about 6% overall, depending on what the actual final placement price will be. But there's an offset for a shareholder by saying, do I put money up now and then receive the value for that back in future dividends? Or do I actually say, okay, no, I'm going to not put money out now and obviously reduce a slightly reduced dividend flow in the future? The actual value of the share is really interesting because this is a raise focused on growth. And that's not something at the scale that the New Zealand market has seen for quite some time. All of those are restoring companies' balance sheets. So this is the first one for a while that's actually focused on value accretive or growth investment.
That was Oliver Mander with the Shareholders Association. By the way, half of the $500 million that Contact wants to raise will go to about $225 million, will go towards a giant Tesla battery next to the steel mill at Glenbrook in Auckland to basically power it and smooth out the peaks and troughs from Auckland's electricity supply, which is interesting. 4 minutes away from 8. Right, time to talk tech. The AI boom is driving shortages of memory storage devices, with Western Digital saying that they have already sold their entire 2026 stock of hard drives. What will it mean for the price of your laptop? Peter Griffin, Business of Tech podcast host, is with us this morning. Peter, good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
What will it mean for the cost of a laptop?
Well, the price could go up this year, Ryan. Obviously, these chips, memory chips, are in every device we use, from smartphones to laptops to the data centers that serve us our information. And that is where the demand is absolutely surging. All of these AI data centers, particularly in the US, they call them hyperscale data centers. We heard about the NVIDIA, the surge in demand for AI chips, but data centers also use a lot of data, and you need memory and hard drives to process them. So Western Digital, as you said, is saying that they've already filled their books with orders this year. We've already seen the price of memory that goes into your laptop go up considerably. I was just looking online, a DDR5, which is a very common set of memory chips that go into a laptop, $435. So that's up considerably and could go up even further this year. What that will mean as this filters through the supply chain is when you buy a laptop later in the year, it may cost more, or probably more likely is the company will be a bit stingier on the amount of memory that you get in that device. They might give you 8 gigabytes instead of being more generous and giving you 16 gigabytes of memory. So that's what Apple is signaling, particularly. It's saying that memory is a real problem for its business in 2026. It's all down to the AI boom.
Meanwhile, the UK is cracking down on AI generated, illegal content. What's that about?
Yeah, this is good actually. We saw the backlash against Grok AI, this chatbot that Elon Musk's X platform creates. It was actually generating sexualized imagery, deep fakes, where you could put a person in a bikini, for instance, a child in a bikini. A lot of countries reacted very negatively to this. The likes of the Philippines and Indonesia temporarily blocked Grok from operating in their countries. In Europe, a big backlash as well, and now the UK is saying they're actually going to change their legislation to close a loophole in the Online Safety Act there that doesn't cover AI chatbots generating sexualized images. So Keir Starmer, who's sort of on the back foot on all fronts in the UK at the moment, is joining the Conservatives in an effort to do this, to change the law to make this illegal. Big fines or potentially a ban on Grok operating in the UK if they flout this. Back here in New Zealand, we have nothing like this. We have the Harmful Digital Communications Act for, sexting images and that sort of thing, non-consensual sharing of images, but it doesn't cover anything to do with AI. So hopefully we'll be looking, our legislators at the UK, for some guidance on how we can update and fine-tune our legislation as well.
Peter, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Peter Griffin, Business of Tech podcast host with us. Time is 8 o'clock. Good morning, great to have your company. It's Tuesday the 17th of February. On the show this hour, high jumper Hamish Kerr has been named Athlete of the Year at the Halberg Awards, beating out a stacked field of high performers and becoming the first man to take the title in 8 years. The Olympic champion and his coach join us live at the desk in just a second. And the Opportunity Party wants to scrap national super and replace it with a type of universal national income. So, why should we be paid to sit on our bums? Plus, moves to ban under-16s from social media gathering speed this morning. The Kiwis who advised the Aussie government on their ban are in the studio to talk. First, here is Neva with headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The North Island's turning its focus to clean up as those in the south prepare for the worst of the wild weather. Thousands remain without power across the lower North Island, and multiple roads and highways are still blocked. Meanwhile, Banks Peninsula has been facing heavy rain all night, and State Highway 37 has been affected by flooding. Wellington Water says it hears the frustration from local residents and is doing all it can to solve the failure at the city's wastewater treatment plant. The company was in the hot seat at a fiery public meeting last night in Kilburnie, where locals had the chance to question the plant's failure. Some residents say they've lost trust in local officials. Chief Operating Officer Charles Barker says turning up and hearing from the community is a key step to reassure Wellingtonians. A member who left the Retail Crime Advisory Group says its citizens' arrest proposal would do more harm than good. The Crimes Amendment Bill is due for its second reading in Parliament and includes law changes allowing people to apprehend offenders. But Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young, who left the advisory group, says she never backed the idea because of the risk to the public. And she says encouraging people to arrest offenders and calling that a solution to retail crime is mischievous. Dentists allege a Health New Zealand dental contract providing free treatment for teens is severely underfunded, leading to fewer practices signing up to deliver it. A report from the Dental Association claims 19 covered treatments are being funded less than individual market rates under the combined dental agreement. It states that there are shortfalls up to $750 per treatment. Dr. Sash Patel says dentists can't absorb those costs. He says every time teenagers are in those chairs, there are adults who can't take up that time. Political parties don't appear to be paying too much attention to the latest poll results. The latest One News Varian poll shows if an election were to be held today, the coalition government would hold on to power with 65 seats. Meanwhile, the preferred Prime Minister race is neck and neck with both Christopher Luxon and Chris Hipkins at 20%. But Newstalk ZB senior political correspondent Barry Soper says everything is within the statistical margin of error. New Zealand exporters are forecasting a strong 2 weeks as Lunar New Year celebrations kick off. Asian communities around the country and the world will be taking part in the 15-day celebration marking the beginning of the Year of the Horse. Exporters of products like honey, dairy and some fruits will also experience a healthy surge in revenue as people follow the tradition of gifting and sharing food. TNG Global Marketing Head Gemma Whiten says sales are looking very strong for its Envy apples compared to 2025.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
High jumper Hamish Kerr has soared over other category winners to land the Supreme Halberg Award, ahead of sportswoman Zoe Sadowski-Sinnott, para-athlete Danielle Aitchison and the Black Fern Sevens. Blues and All Blacks flanker Dalton Papali'i will depart New Zealand rugby later this year to join French side Castres Olympique on a 3-season deal. Australia's hopes of advancing beyond the pool stage at cricket's T20 World Cup are fading after Sri Lanka chased 182 to beat them by 8 wickets at Pallekele.
Herald Now Weather.
Good morning. Still a little bit of weather left over from our low pressure system after a wet and windy night for eastern parts of the South Island. The low, though, is weakening and sinking south with just heavy rain watches and warnings in place, expiring at 10 this morning for Canterbury and Christchurch, 6 p.m. tonight for Banks Peninsula and 9 p.m. for Dunedin. So not a great start for O Week with the heavy rain for Dunedin not easing till tonight. Southwesterlies 2 for the city with a high of 14. It's not too bad for the north and west of the island, but there will still be a feed of rain to the east, with both the wind and rain gradually easing this afternoon. It is an improving trend for the lower North Island, with the showers clearing later in the day and winds dying out early tonight. Looking mainly fine here, not completely dry, but plenty of fine spells, with most of the showers hitting late afternoon or tonight for Tauranga. And apart from a few clouds and the odd shower, it's mostly fine for the upper north. Winds will be light during the day with a sea breeze for Auckland.
Right, time now is 6 minutes after 8. High jumper Hamish Kerr has claimed New Zealand's highest sporting honour at the Halberg Awards last night, being named Supreme Winner. Also, to boot, his coach, James Sandilands, was named Coach of the Year. Hamish and James are with me at the desk this morning. Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for having us.
Good to have you. Congratulations.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel?
Yeah, it's still sinking in. I think, a lot of what we do is towards competitions and trying to win competitions. And so to go to a big awards night like this and get judged, the supreme winner of all the sports in New Zealand is pretty humbling. But also, I think, just great credit to the amazing work we've done the last few years, trying to get me onto that global stage and win lots of medals.
James, what you've been together 2 years as coach and athlete, right? What was the secret? What was the key, do you think, to your relationship working so well?
I think just how well we've known each other over the years. Been a part of Hamish's team for a little longer than that, and known Hamish for quite a few years before then. So I think just having a good friendship. We travel a lot together, so being able to tolerate each other on the road is probably a pretty key part of it all, to be honest.
Because you used to live together, right?
Yeah, we did. When Hamish first moved down to Christchurch, my wife and I took in a lonely high jumper, looked after him for a wee while, and then, relationships changed a bit over the years. But
Jimmy's 3 days older than me, so he's the senior figure in our relationship.
He's the dad.
Yeah.
Hamish, this is an amazing accomplishment. I was reading this morning, you're actually the first male to win the award since Tom Walsh back in 2018. Is this something you sort of dreamed of, that you had in mind when you started? Like, did you start going, I want to be the best, I want to win a Halberg, I want to do all those things?
I think sport for me was always a passion project. I loved doing athletics as a child, and I think that it was something that I was super motivated to want to keep getting better, but I never really saw it as a career. It was always in and amongst my studies and all those other things that are sort of probably more traditional for most Kiwi kids of knowing that sport wasn't going to be my be-all end-all. To be here now, over the years, just being able to chip away at it very gradually and getting better and better, and every year I feel like the hype builds and I get a better team of people around me and that belief grows, and I think that the last few years it's really now a case of understanding where I'm at and going, the sky is the limit, and I think that's quite an amazing place to be, and obviously the Supreme Award is more evidence of that, but I think that even within my sport there's a few more things that I am starting to really grasp the fact that could be possible, and I'm just super excited for the next few years.
Like what?
Well, I mean, for me, I've got a lot of the titles, but I don't have the heights. I think for me, jumping 236, which is my PB at the moment, is obviously a great height, but if I could get up to 240 and even higher than that, then I would be really, really stoked with my career.
James, how do you get him there? He tells you what he wants to do, presumably, and you make it happen, help make it happen. What do you do? How do you go from, does it feel like you're kind of maxed out, or you feel like, you can go further, you just need to work out how?
Yeah, there's a big team behind him. Obviously, I get to sit here today, but yeah, we've got an awesome team back in Christchurch, and we spend far too long sitting around a table talking about how to make a guy jump higher, coming up with all sorts of plans, but no, we're really enjoying it as well. So it's a nice challenge. Happy with what we've done so far, but yeah, it's going to be the next challenge is taking a few more centimetres off and seeing what we can do.
Yeah, and what is that? Is that like physicality? Is that training? Is it shoes? I don't know. Everything?
Yeah, literally everything. We've written a list of every possibility of things, and shoes are one of them. It's we're getting down to some really small details, but in the pursuit of a couple of centimetres, anything can help. So yeah, it's going to be quite the project in the next couple of years.
Where are you going to put the statue? It's bloody massive.
Not sure yet. I don't know if any of my shelves will actually be strong enough to hold it. It's pretty heavy, but I'm sure I'll find somewhere quite nice to display it for a year in the house.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, congratulations again, and thanks so much for being with me this morning. Appreciate both of your time. And they didn't have a big night. I asked them beforehand. High jumper Hamish Kerr and coach James Sandilands with us. It's just gone 10 after 8 now. Coming up the rest of this hour, keeping kids off social media. Should we be following the Aussies with a ban on under 16s? We're speaking to the guys who worked on the Aussie ban. Then the panel is here. Tim Wilson and Wanda Massey are in to talk us through the big stories of the day. All ahead.
Term deposit rates are falling, but your returns shouldn't. Speak to a Foresight Bar investment advisor about alternative strategies, their benefits and risks, and how they can help you meet your investment goals. Foresight Bar, investment advice.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, who's got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
Hey, Dad.
What's up? What's up?
You know that's from the 90s, right?
So's this fuel price. 6 cents off per litre on the Gallop, even on top of discount day.
That's what's up.
Download the Gallop. What's up?
Welcome back. The Opportunity Party wants to ditch New Zealand super. And before you freak out, if you're on super now, you would be fine. But they say that it would be fairer to future generations than raising the pension age. It comes amid Treasury warnings about the increasing cost of an ageing population. Kulei Wong is the party leader, joins us this morning. Kulei, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
So, I mean, sounds pretty dramatic. Can you just walk us through, you're not taking away everyone's super.
No.
I mean, obviously a few hoops to get through before you even get to that point, right? But let's assume that you're in some sort of position of power.
Yeah.
How does it work?
So it's not about ditching super. We absolutely have to look after our older people as they age. That is incredibly important in our society. But the reality is it's part of a tax and benefit system which is creaking, and our politicians keep digging their head in the sand as that, the cost of superannuation continues to balloon. So our proposed solution is to introduce a citizen's income, and that is paid to almost all adults. There is some means testing as part of that, so if you're on a really high income, you don't receive it.
$350K.
About there. And so that then also, that replaces some benefits, including superannuation. It is lower than a superannuation payment, so there are still top-ups that would be made, and no one would receive any less than what they're currently receiving. The goal over time would be to introduce that means testing also to people over the age of 65. So if you are still earning quite a lot, or you have a lot of assets, and you can afford not to receive that top up, then you wouldn't.
Okay.
So we think that will make a more affordable benefit system in the long run.
Why should everyone get paid? I mean, first of all, how much is it a week?
It's roughly in line with the job seeker benefit, so it's about $350 a week.
So everyone, unless you're really rich or doing really well, everyone gets the job seeker benefit.
Partly. The other side of it is a land value tax. So this is part of a whole tax reset system.
I want to come to that.
You'd pay back in land value tax what you essentially receive in citizens' income.
If you have property,
yes.
If you have land, then you would pay that back.
Yes.
So, I mean, that sounds, okay, so you giveth and you taketh away.
Yep, and there may be a very small percentage of people who are on a high salary that don't own property. In New Zealand, I think that's a very small minority. And actually, those people are probably, if they've got that extra cash, will then be investing that money into businesses, into things like our infrastructure, which needs serious investment through funds and things like that. So there may be a small percentage that get a bit of a benefit. Not many.
How do you know? I mean, if someone's living in Westport versus Auckland, then presumably the land tax is going to be different because the property value is different.
Yep, absolutely.
So you would be paying more potentially than you are getting back from your job seeker benefit in Auckland, for example.
Possibly, and the way that we've worked it out is that those on middle income, they shouldn't really feel much change. The whole idea of the citizens' income is to support those on lower income levels who are really struggling at the moment. We have people who aren't on benefits but who are struggling to put food on the table, who have to choose between feeding their kids or transport to go to a job interview.
But we have working for families. Why not just there's a mechanism there already. This is very complicated.
We do, but our current mechanism is very complicated too. You just talk to anyone that has to go into a WINS office to try and navigate that system at the moment, and there are people that have stopped engaging with it because it is
working for families,
going in and filling in the forms and having
that's IRD, working for families. I mean, it's done through at the end of the year, washed up in your personal tax summary, so it's not as complicated by any stretch as what you're suggesting for middle New Zealand.
A citizen's income would be pretty straightforward because it removes a lot of the bureaucracy from our welfare system. So we'd save a bunch of jobs and money from MSD, and actually, simplify that system for people and for the taxpayer as well.
With the tax, how do you figure out what my property's worth every year and therefore what to tax me on income I haven't earned?
So we already have a mechanism for valuing land, and you do that through our rates. So we have that mechanism there, unlike the capital gains tax, which Labor's proposing, which there's currently lots of to and fro around how will property actually be valued for that. So we already have a way of doing that for land value tax, so that we could easily.
You just use the council valuation.
Exactly.
Okay, and how many people would be worse off financially?
So when we release all of the figures, people will be able to go in and actually use a calculator to figure out, their current position versus their potential future position. Those on low and middle incomes will be better off. Those on really low incomes will be much better off than they currently are today.
Would I not just sell my property, get your free money and then invest in shares?
Yeah, that would be great. We need a lot more people to. The amount of money in New Zealand that is locked up in property at the moment is astronomical, and it's really holding us back.
Yeah, but second and third properties I can understand, but primary, your family home. What's wrong with that?
Well, no, and that's, people should still want to hold on to their property, and owning a house can still be an aspiration for lots of people. I own my own home, and I still would want to own my own home in this future, but I'm not going to think about buying second and third properties as a goal for my, saving for my retirement. I might put that money into other more productive things.
Kula, you had a goal coming into this of 150,000 voters supporting. Yep. I saw in the last poll, the TV1 poll, you were up.
Yep.
Yeah. Where are you at with your goal?
Yeah, so all of the polls we've been tracking up, which is really good. They obviously, vary wildly in what the actual percentage is, but over the last 3 months, they have all been trending up. So we are on the right track.
What are you tapping out at? Because you need 5%.
Yeah.
You're a long way from 5%.
Yeah, we've still got a long way to the election, and so my goal is to get to that 5% well in advance of the election date.
Ambitious?
We've got to be ambitious for New Zealand, right?
Appreciate your time this morning, Kule. Thanks for coming in as always. Kule Wong, who's the Opportunity Party leader. It is 19 minutes after 8. Right, Australia's under-16 social media ban has been touted a great success by some, a disaster by others. So, as work on our own ban gets underway, what lessons can we learn from across the ditch? Triple P Positive Parenting worked with the Australian government on their legislation, and they have a warning. We need a new approach if we are to succeed. Jackie Riak is Triple P Positive Parenting Country Lead and joins us now. Hey, Jackie.
Hi, Ryan.
How are you?
I'm well, and you?
I'm very well, thank you. What did you tell the Aussies about their ban?
Well, we really talked to them about the importance of having some support for parents as the ban was brought into place. So, making sure that there was a comprehensive strategy that included other aspects beyond the ban, so some positive parenting support for how parents could actually deal with this when confronted with it being turned off.
What do you mean positive parenting support? What does that actually mean, Jackie?
Okay, so in Australia, before the ban came into place in 2022, Australia implemented a suite of Triple P Positive Parenting programs, and they were made freely available, and to date 630,000 parents have gone on and looked at those. So there's lots of tips and strategies for them to choose from, and parents had a good foundation of parenting strategies to help them manage issues as they arose. And then as the ban came into place, because we were in conversation with the e-safety team, we worked with them and developed a specific program that looked at children and screens, and that was made available to parents as the ban came into place.
Right. So, okay. The kid has a tantrum. What do you do with them, Jackie? How do you be positive when they're having a meltdown?
So, I guess prevention's always a first step. So, a lot of the programs that were put in preventatively would look to address that. So they'd be saying, how do you encourage more of the behaviours you want to see? What are the I guess you can apply it to screen time, you can apply it to anything. What is our family's sort of rules? What are the limits? What are the boundaries? Talk about it with them. And when the child perhaps isn't happy with those, there'll be a bunch of strategies that parents can choose from to manage that. But it's always about parents' choice, and so we just...
Right. Yeah, Jackie, look, this all sounds fantastic, but I just think it sounds a little bit vague for people. Like, if you're a parent at home right now and your kid is having a meltdown and you're saying, we can talk about some strategies that might have a positive impact on your children. Can you give us a concrete example? If your kid's having a meltdown, what do you do?
Okay. So the first thing that you do is ask them to stop. So stop shouting at me and ask nicely. If they're sort of like, I want the remote. Stop shouting at me and ask nicely. And if the child doesn't stop, then you might back it up with another consequence, which might be something like removing an item. It might be putting them in a quiet space and telling them they need to wait there for a couple of minutes, or it might be putting them in something like timeout. So there's a range there, but really it depends on what the parent wants to choose and perhaps what they've put in place prior. So it might be that they don't get, I don't know, to go to the park, or it would be based on what's already agreed.
All right, and you have a bit of a plan there to do it. Jackie, I really appreciate you clarifying that for us this morning and for coming on the show. Thanks for being with us. It is Jackie Riak, who's Triple P Positive Parenting Country Lead. Basically, what these guys have to do to me every morning is first tell me to stop. They stop it, and then if the last is and then they deprive coffee, and then there's a smack. That's basically how it works. Though you shouldn't do that to your children, obviously, because it's illegal now. 23 minutes after 8. Coming up this hour, we'll tell you in a sec. The panel.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because of the good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
Oh. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Still can't get enough.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
Know more of the story with Herald Premium, giving you full access to in-depth news, opinion and analysis, with more world news, business insights, and investigative reports from our world-class team of journalists. Plus subscriber-only functionality to comment on stories, access newspaper e-editions, gift articles, and enjoy crosswords and puzzles. Subscribe now to Herald Premium.
Welcome back. Let's go to the big stories of the day with our panel this morning. Moana Mase, Herald Pacifica editor, along with Tim Wilson, Maxim Institute executive director. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good to have you both here. Right, we'll start with the under-16 media ban. We're just speaking to a parenting expert, Tim, and who said that to control your kids, well, is that what you would say? Control a kid? Stop them having a tantrum.
Funnel them.
That sounds more appropriate.
Yeah.
Inappropriate.
Yeah. Then you should start with telling them to stop, nicely. So stop using your phone and stop the tantrum because I've taken it away.
Yeah. Look, it actually begins before it gets to the tantrum. So our boys, we can sense this restless, antic, feral energy that they have. And it's like... Okay, we're just going to stop here, get on your damn bikes, ride around the block. So that sort of lowers, because tantrums come from all kinds of vectors, right? There's lots of reasons for it. So it's not actually dealing with the tantrum, it's like having the radar out before the tantrum arrives. I'm not saying, by the way, that I'm perfect. Far from perfect, but that's something that we do in our house.
That sounds reasonable. You sort of see the warning signs that something's coming, something's building.
Yeah. Screams getting louder, punches getting harder. Time to go.
Because you've got boys, haven't you?
4 boys.
Yes.
My mum just needed to give me a stern look, and I would sit down. Yeah, that was enough.
Yeah. I guess sometimes all it takes is a look.
Yeah.
And get people into line, and kids into line, and I suppose they need to know that there's going to be a consequence as well, right?
Yeah.
That something, if you do this, then something will happen, and like that thing consistently happens.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. What about the social media ban more generally, Moana? Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but I have this thing like it's their world. Like we didn't grow. Wait, how young are you?
You don't need to be falsely polite. I'm old.
Yeah, I mean it's not the world that I grew up with as well. I mean we were lucky enough to get to maybe like the end of high school to uni. And then, oh man, showing my age, but Bebo, MySpace, High Five started coming up. But yeah, otherwise, like, I just think, just be a kid, eh? Just enjoy being a kid. Yeah, go wash the dishes or...
Well, yeah, because I guess the thing is too that, you know, kids, as we're going into with the discussion about tantrums, they're creatures of body, mind and soul.
Yeah.
So if you just isolate, if you're only working the mind, then the body's going to atrophy and they're going to come out of balance. I think with the social media ban in Australia, a big problem is that actually, if you're a kid trying to get around the ban, there's no penalty for you or your parents if you do that. Now, I get it. They want to spank the tech giants, but it seems to make that particular piece of legislation inoperable because you're not penalising the people who are breaking the rules.
Moana, the Halbergs, we just had Hamish Kerr in, and this is not meant to be a provocative question. It's just a genuine. What is the reason for it? But so we haven't had a male win since 2018. Why do you think that is?
Well,
is it the types of sports? Is it that women are doing so well?
I was just saying to Tim over there, I was just buzzing out that a high jumper got it, which is in primary school. I was very good at high jump, so to think that someone like Hamish has got it is just cool in itself. Like, not the fact that he's a man or, you know, just the fact that that sport has won.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think we kind of take him for granted now, don't we? Because we've seen him in action so much, but it's very cool.
Were you good at high jump or?
No, long jump.
Oh yeah.
I was quite good at long jump.
Come on, Ryan. You make people do the high jump every day. This is your job. You're a high jump facilitator.
What about you? The kind of man question. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a weird question to ask.
You know what? The actual story here is because the last time a man won it was Tom Walsh, who's a shot put guy.
Yes.
This is the dominance of track and field.
Yeah.
So what we're actually seeing here, like your major sports, your rugbies, your crickets, your leagues, not evident recently. The last time the All Blacks won was in 2015 as a Halberg Supreme, and that's when they took out the Rugby World Cup. So is the story here actually about the recessing in some way of the so-called major sports?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And the dominance of these, and then you've got legends like Lisa Carrington.
Lydia Ko, all of those are household names.
Yeah. No, good point. And it's the sports maybe more than the gender or whatever that might be associated with it.
Girl power. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100% girl power at the same time.
Actually, no. The future is both female and male.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's not start World War III. Infrastructure. We've got a speech from Chris Bishop today. I can see you both kind of going, oh, do we have to?
That's for you, bro.
Tim, time that Luxon's right when he says fix the basics and the boring stuff and blah, blah. And actually Hipkins, I noticed this morning on the show, said we need to fix the boring stuff. So they're both on song. But I guess it's whose definition of boring, That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah. And look, they're right. If we want to function economically, our infrastructure has to function well so we can get productivity up, so we can actually sell the stuff that we want to sell to the world. I think the problem with infrastructure is that politically it's not a vote winner. I mean, when was the last time, this is the infrastructure election? You haven't heard it. So the challenge to those parties, they're saying, okay, this is important, is actually how do you create a message that makes it politically viable? So what is it? Pipes that work, roads that go, water without poo? I think we're getting cut through now.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. The weather and our lack of upkeep on some of these facilities might push it to become the infrastructure election.
Oh, there we go. You called it.
Good to see you both this morning. Thanks so much for coming in.
See you, brother.
That's Herald Pacifica editor Moana Mase and Tim Wilson, Maxim Institute Executive Director. Time's 28 away from 9. Here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
The North Island's turning its focus to clean up as those in the south prepare for the worst of the wild weather. Thousands remain without power across the lower North Island, and multiple roads and highways are still blocked. Meanwhile, Banks Peninsula has been facing heavy rain all night, and State Highway 37 has been affected by flooding. Wellington Water says it hears the frustration from local residents and is doing all it can to solve the failure at the city's wastewater treatment plant. The company was in the hot seat at a fiery public meeting last night in Kilburnie, where locals had the chance to question the plant's failure. Some residents say they've lost trust in local officials. Chief Operating Officer Charles Barker says turning up and hearing from the community is a key step to reassure Wellingtonians. A member who left the Retail Crime Advisory Group says its citizens' arrest proposal would do more harm than good. The Crimes Amendment Bill is due for its second reading in Parliament and includes law changes allowing people to apprehend offenders. But Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young, who left the advisory group, says she never backed the idea because of the risk to the public. And she says encouraging people to arrest offenders and calling that a solution to retail crime is mischievous. Dentists allege a Health New Zealand dental contract providing free treatment for teens is severely underfunded, leading to fewer practices signing up to deliver it. A report from the Dental Association claims 19 covered treatments are being funded less than individual market rates under the combined dental agreement. It states that there are shortfalls up to $750 per treatment. Dr. Sash Patel says dentists can't absorb those costs. He says every time teenagers are in those chairs, there are adults who can't take up that time. Political parties don't appear to be paying too much attention to the latest poll results. The latest One News Varian poll shows if an election were to be held today, the coalition government would hold on to power with 65 seats. Meanwhile, the preferred Prime Minister race is neck and neck with both Christopher Luxon and Chris Hipkins at 20%. But Newstalk ZB senior political correspondent Barry Soper says everything is within the statistical margin of error. New Zealand exporters are forecasting a strong 2 weeks as Lunar New Year celebrations kick off. Asian communities around the country and the world will be taking part in the 15-day celebration marking the beginning of the Year of the Horse. Exporters of products like honey, dairy and some fruits will also experience a healthy surge in revenue as people follow the tradition of gifting and sharing food. TNG Global Marketing Head Gemma Whiten says sales are looking very strong for its Envy apples compared to 2025.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
High jumper Hamish Kerr has soared over other category winners to land the supreme Halberg Award, ahead of sportswoman Zoe Sadowski-Sinnott, para-athlete Danielle Aitchison and the Black Fern Sevens. Blues and All Blacks flanker Dalton Papali'i will depart New Zealand rugby later this year to join French side Castres Olympique on a 3-season deal. Australia's hopes of advancing beyond the pool stage at cricket's T20 World Cup are fading after Sri Lanka chased 182 to beat them by 8 wickets at Pallekele.
Herald Now Weather.
Good morning. Still a little bit of weather left over from our low pressure system after a wet and windy night for eastern parts of the South Island. The low, though, is weakening and sinking south with just heavy rain watches and warnings in place, expiring at 10 this morning for Canterbury and Christchurch, 6 p.m. tonight for Banks Peninsula and 9 p.m. for Dunedin. So not a great start for O Week with the heavy rain for Dunedin not easing till tonight. Southwesterlies 2 for the city with a high of 14. It's not too bad for the north and west of the island, but there will still be a feed of rain to the east, with both the wind and rain gradually easing this afternoon. It is an improving trend for the lower North Island, with the showers clearing later in the day and winds dying out early tonight. Looking mainly fine here, not completely dry, but plenty of fine spells, with most of the showers hitting late afternoon or tonight for Tauranga. And apart from a few clouds and the odd shower, it's mostly fine for the upper north. Winds will be light during the day with a sea breeze for Auckland.
It is 23 minutes away from 9 to Wellington Harbour, where a wave almost 14 metres was recorded in Wellington Harbour. Let's go to Melissa Nightingale for the latest on the weather woes there. Our Wellington News Director. Melissa, good morning. So what can you tell us about first of all, the extent of the damage, and we'll come to some of those records in a second.
Yeah, it's looking pretty rough in the Wellington region at the moment. I think probably the Hutt Valley has been quite badly hit. I know areas like the suburb of Stokes Valley have had some really bad damage with flooding, particularly one area called Kamahi Street, where it appears there's been some type of water pipe burst, and there's just been water smashing its way up through the road, basically. I spoke to one woman who said it was as if the road was disintegrating. So I know that on my drive into work through the Hutt Valley, there's been a lot of trees down everywhere. In fact, probably more trees I've seen down in one go compared to our other weather events. So it was definitely surprising to see just how badly the wind and rain hit the city.
Yeah, and what about this wave?
Yes, we did have a really big wave recorded in, I believe, the Cook Strait, something like 13.5 meters, really huge. And we're looking to find out a bit more about that because that's a monster wave, isn't it?
It sounds very, very big, yeah, I have to say. The airport chaos now over, everyone's got their flights right and there's no delays, or is there still issues?
I'd say they're still working to fix some of that backlog, but they were able to resume flights in and out partway through yesterday afternoon. So earlier in the day, everything was cancelled, but they've managed to get that back up and running before the end of the day, thankfully.
Very good indeed. Melissa, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Melissa Nightingale, the Wellington News Director. Right, let's go to travel. Lorna Riley, Trip Notes podcast host, is with me at the desk. Lorna, good morning.
Good morning. It seems a little frivolous to be talking travel after those terrible scenes out of Wellington, but nevertheless, let's do it.
Well, so weather permitting that you can travel too, because
Yes.
the airport's been down, of course. So we'll look at the sport-themed holidays. You've been having a look at this.
Yeah, like sports tourism, it's absolutely enormous now. The UN estimates it's worth $680 billion a year. It accounts for 10% of the travel industry, and it shows no signs of slowing down. And of course, as Kiwis, we absolutely love our sport. So top of the list for the global feast of action is, of course, the FIFA World Cup. Bigger than ever this year, co-hosted by the States, Canada and Mexico. The biggest tournament in football history, so it's been expanded to 48 teams. Matches from New York and Los Angeles through to Mexico City as well. Closer to home, rugby fans are eyeing the All Blacks Northern Tour, so you can do that long haul rugby trip and then maybe pop off to Paris or Rome while you're there, which I quite like that idea. And of course, Formula One has always been a big sports tourism industry, so you can go to the glamour of Monaco. I think we've got a shot of that. There's a night race in Singapore, or you can combine Melbourne's Grand Prix with a foodie weekend, which sounds good to me. So instead of just being something you watch, it is becoming much a reason to travel. But I think even if you're travelling for other reasons, you should always try and build in a visit to a local game. When I was in Memphis a couple of years ago, I headed off to a baseball game, my one and only baseball game, watching the Memphis Firebirds. Absolutely loved it. You get a real sense of the people, the local people and their passions.
Great idea. Now, Las Vegas, of course, the only sport in town is gambling, but that's changing.
Yeah, Las Vegas is undergoing a bit of a makeover. Have you ever been?
No, never
No,
been. Always wanted to.
I've never been either, and it is on my list. The neon still glows and the roulettes are still spinning, but there is a whole lot of other things happening there. First stop has got to be the Sphere. You've probably seen this, that giant glowing orb that lights up the Strip. There's a next level entertainment stuff inside, wraparound screens, immersive sound. It feels like you stepped right inside the show, and major artists are lining up for residencies. So you can turn a weekend in Vegas into a full-blown sensory event. Sport is now centre stage in Vegas as well. They're getting on the bandwagon then, so they're home to the NFL's Raiders, the NHL's Golden Knights, and Formula One has totally transformed the Strip as well. A high-speed night racetrack, which would just be incredible, wouldn't it? There's even talk of more mega sporting events, so it will turn it into a sports tourism heavyweight, I think. And then, of course, there's the food. You've got celebrity chefs now dominating the Strip. It's not that buffet that we sort of think about, a free-for-all in Vegas anymore. A global tasting tour without leaving the desert. And you've still got all those other things, the Bellagio fountain, the 24-hour nightlife, the over-the-top themed hotels. But yeah, there's a lot more besides now too.
Yeah, it's funny because you think it is just a desert, isn't it?
It is just a desert.
You know, and you look at, we've spoken a lot about in the Middle East, some of these cities, big cities that are trying to revamp. You don't actually need any natural, you don't need a Mount Cook
No.
You know, or a
No.
Milford Sound.
No, if you've got the entertainment there, you've built a playground in the middle of the desert, and that's what Vegas is really becoming.
Very cool. Right, you've got a warning for those heading to the Cook Islands. This is dengue.
Yeah, well, we've heard about this before, that there is dengue fever in the Cook Islands, and so there's extra protection measures in place for travellers arriving and departing in terms of temperature checks and things. As I understand it, with dengue fever, the first time it's not so bad, but the second time can be fatal. So there are warnings there, but there's also another hotspot that has come under the spotlight now, and that is that the US has issued a level 2 warning for the Seychelles. And again, the problem is mosquitoes. This time it is a virus called chikungunya. I hope I'm saying that right. It can cause fever and severe joint pain as well. So if you're planning a trip to the Cook Islands or the Seychelles, take your mozzie spray.
Absolutely. And it's during the day. This is the thing about the Cooks that I learnt the other day, that it's daytime mosquitoes, not nighttime.
Not evening, yeah.
And you don't really think about putting on mosquito necessarily repellent during the day, do you?
No.
All right, Lorna, good to see you as always. Thank
Yes,
you.
Ryan.
That's Lorna Riley, the Trip Notes podcast host, with us this morning for travel. It's 17 away from 9. We'll be back in just a second. The first house at the exclusive Te Arai Links Golf Estate is for sale on the open market. So how much will it cost to join the rich and famous? We'll tell you after the ads.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then. Mm-hmm.
We've done few subdivision with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university. My message to the union is very clear. Don't use...
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
Welcome back. The first property at the exclusive Te Arai Links Golf Estate is up for sale on the open market. This is north of Auckland. You'll probably need a big hefty lotto win to buy it though, at around... Actually, I won't tell you the price. We'll let Catherine do that. Catherine Smith from One Roof is here. Catherine, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Lovely to have you in the studio. So, tell us about the property.
Well, it's part of the Te Arai Golf Links, and they are the sister golf course to Tara Iti, which, as we know, is the most exclusive golf course in New Zealand. You can't join anymore. It's that exclusive. It's full. The only famous person that we know that's played there or has a membership there is Barack Obama, ex-US president, who played there with John Key.
That's
Literally,
right.
that's how exclusive it is. And so then that opened 13 years ago, 14 years ago, and then they opened at end of 22 and end of 23 Te Arai, which is the public golf course. But it's kind of not your local village place that you go for a few slaps around. It's a little more exclusive than that. And they opened it up another 60 properties. So Tara Iti has about 70 properties, about a third of them are US friends and relations, wealthy people, and the rest are Kiwis, and there's a roll call of famous Kiwis who have places there. And then Tara Iti is the TRI is the next one that they've just opened up. And this is the first house that's ever gone on the public market. It's only ever sold to friends and relations.
Does that mean they're getting desperate?
No, it doesn't. It's interesting because we were talking to Jim Rawstaff, who is one of the partners, and he runs a company that also does the real estate. And he said, no, it's just time to raise the profile, because at the moment it is a public course, and everyone sort of thought of Tara Iti as the private course and TRI as the public course. And what happened was that, as lots of people do in those sort of places, a guy bought a couple of pieces of land, built this house, and then he's got what he considers the preferred piece of land, and he's now going to build a second house, and that's going to be his actual house. So this is the first time it's happened.
Okay.
In the past, sometimes they've done what you'd call a spec house, but we're not talking, a townhouse in Mount Albert kind of spec.
No, a different vibe.
Somewhat higher spec.
So how much would we pay for this?
Well, this is 18 million for this place. It's designed by Julian Guthrie, who's won numerous awards and has designed a bunch of houses there. In fact, it was really fun when I was talking to Jim. It's like, well, how many architecture awards have you won along the way? And the clubhouses and the restaurants and all of them, he hadn't actually kept track. And it took me a while tracking them all down. But it's built in obviously that beautiful plaster finish. It's cedar, it's glass. The inside is travertine marble, and entirely top-end wireless. There's a media room, there's a gym. You can walk around to Rick's, which is the famous restaurant there. Everything's there. And the really interesting thing is that it is designed for holiday people. A few people are making it their permanent home up there, but with that holiday thing, you get your concierge to come and prep the house so that when you helicopter in, the house is all ready to go.
Isn't that
It's
lovely?
nice.
And is it like the problem I have normally with golf course houses is that everyone can see in? People are playing past the nine and looking at you while you're on the toilet.
Yeah.
Is this different?
Yes, it is, because one of the things they've done obviously is that beautiful covered sort of gosh, you'd call it a porch in a real house, but I don't know what you'd call it at that level of housing, with the fireplace and the pizza oven and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of sheltered, but also it's elevated. So you're actually above.
You're looking down on
so I'm told it has better views than the actual clubhouse. So yes, very private. And then of course you're just looking beyond the golf course to that surf.
Catherine, you are across the government's announced that, this Investor Plus category visa.
Yes.
They have said from March
6th,
you can either buy or build a $5 million plus home. Is that going to have a big impact on prices, do we think, or on demand for those types of houses?
Everyone's hoping it'll affect demand, probably won't affect price, because the people who are shopping at that level have done their homework. They know value. So they're not going to come in and go, I'm in love with this place, can I give you 20 instead of 18? But they know what's out in the market, they know how long things have sat on the market. A lot of these super wealthy people actually don't do it themselves. They have the family office that does all the real estate deals and things. They will know that in New Zealand, upper end real estate can cost between 25 and 30,000 a square metre to build. So this house, home site 16, 33,000 a square metre. So they know that's roughly what you're paying. It's 540 something square metre house. So they'll have done their homework. It won't affect the lower end of the market. And it's interesting talking to real estate agents in that upper end now. Are vendors coming into the market now? Some of them are thinking this might be their chance to start listing a house that they've sat on their hands for maybe 2 years.
Well, yeah, because you see a lot of them that are coming on that have been, you've seen them if you watch this close, they popped up years ago, still haven't sold, because you can check that record. They haven't sold, but they're obviously now going, okay, maybe we'll finally get some buyers in.
Those buyers are real particular. If there isn't enough car parking for the 8 Maseratis or whatever, or it's hard to get in and out of a driveway, or you can't see the swimming pool from the kitchen and you want to be able to watch the kids. They've got really specific lists of needs. But then if they get what they want, there was a house in Herne Bay that just sold in a week for 15 million because it had all of those things. And every agent in town knew, it was a wall sale, but every other agent in town knew that this house was just going to go because
Got the
it was
goods.
on everybody's list.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Catherine, lovely to talk to you. Thanks for coming in this morning and sharing a bit of that, let's call it fantasy property.
I know, beautifully done, beautiful.
That's Catherine Smith, One Roof and Herald Homes journalist with us this morning. Right, 8 minutes away from 9. The first kakapo chick in 4 years has hatched on Pukenui Anchor Island in Fiordland. Hatched on Valentine's Day, it nudged the total kakapo population to 237, though it won't be officially counted until it fledges. Doc is calling it a major milestone for one of the world's most critically endangered species. Kakapo only breed every 2 to 4 years. How's that for a sex life? With more breeding age birds this season, there is hope for a bumper crop of chicks. For now, viewers can watch another expectant mum, Rakiura, live on Kakapo Cam with her first egg due to hatch within days. There you go. Right, 7 away from 9 now. Time to talk business thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. The cost of wharves for the new Cook Strait ferries will blow out by hundreds of millions of dollars. That is the dramatic claim made by backers of a rival plan for a new South Island ferry terminal. What do we make of this? Garth Bray, host of Herald Now Business, was on the show earlier thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar.
This is the Clifford Bay Wharf Project, or the North-South Express, which wants to try and do this near Lake Grasmere, a bit further down the coast from the Picton port, obviously. And it's saying, look, yeah, that'll cost $927 million, and Treasury's already looked at it, and they've got a bid in with the National Infrastructure Financing and Funding people to say this is what we could do. They've come out of the blocks saying, hey, look, their latest attempt to sort of chip away at the Picton project, which is the one that's going ahead under Ferry Holdings. This is to deal with the new rail rolling, the ferries.
Winston's ferries.
Winston's ferries, if we're going to call them that. They're saying that, that's estimated at $531 million to sort of sort things out on the wharf sides, with the Port of Marlborough paying about $110 million. They're saying, no, our numbers say different. We think that it's going to be more like $967 million to try and do this. Where's that all coming from? They're claiming that there's a, big chunk of the contingencies in the Cook Strait Ferry project are going to be spent there, that there's going to be another $200 million in unscoped works. They're saying there's probably another $35 million they need to allow for a truck park, $41 million in unscoped works, unavoidable costs. I mean, to be honest, we're familiar with this kind of talk when it comes to infrastructure projects. You could have made the same claims about CRL and been dead right.
Yeah.
So this is plausible.
I was going to say, will anyone be surprised? Like, yes, they have a vested interest in trying to poo-poo this idea.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm kind of believing them.
Yeah, well, obviously the people that are building it, the rivals are saying not a bit of it. Our spokesperson for the port has been talking to our Thomas Manch at the business desk, who's been all across this for a couple of days, probably longer actually, and he's saying that material from Clifford Bay Group is out of date, inaccurate, contains multiple false assumptions. We've spent $500,000 on the truck park, the $35 million. We don't have visibility over where that figure comes from, which is polite for calling it complete BS.
Yeah, all right.
So, we'll see where this comes from, but it's
We'll come back and visit this when we get the bill.
They are still pushing this hard, though, that's the thing.
Garth, we're getting closer to AI agents apparently being able to pay for stuff with our credit cards.
If we let them, yes. This is a great story Chris Hipkins and the Herald's talking about today. This is Agent Pay, which is MasterCard's attempt to try and enable your card to be able to seamlessly use your payment data to be able to make transactions, and particularly MasterCard pushing this because obviously they want to be at the forefront of all this for two reasons. One, because security of payment, a credit card, basically, if they accept it, then they cover the liability and all that kind of stuff if something goes wrong. And also, they want to be the people that are connecting us with businesses rather than, say, Google search engines. So they're really trying to get themselves into the picture there. But I think the trial that's talked about there is using sort of, the staff using it basically for MasterCard, saying that you've still got some button clicks you put in there to check that the human is paying attention, but ultimately you'll be able to buy a movie ticket or queue for, concert tickets by just telling your AI, I'd be prepared to pay as much as $300 to see Metallica, get in the queue and see what you can do for me. And that's, I guess, the thing is it's taking some of that boring admin out of life.
Yeah, all right.
For a price. I mean, it was just see where it all lands up. There's some more interesting detail in that story if you take a look.
Speaking of movie tickets, some moves in the Warner Brothers Discovery sale battle, which I have a vested interest in, I must declare, because we got a bunch of free shares when we worked there.
Right, well, I was more thinking about this from the point of view of Wuthering Heights, because the movie opened this weekend to great acclaim and so on. We've got a few teasers and bits and pieces for those of you that haven't seen it yet. Some people say it's a great little romp. 76.8 million globally this is made, likely to close on 82 million. We're talking US dollars by the end of what's a long weekend in the States, President's holiday. And I was thinking about, this is kind of Heathcliff's revenge on the Lintons and the Earnshaws, to get back with Kathy. Paramount has jumped back into the frame like a suitor scorned, and it wants to try and it said it'll pay that $2.8 billion break fee that Netflix is owed.
Yes.
They cut the deal, and it's pushing
they really
that sort
want
of
it.
ticking payment, the $650 million US cash they would offer each quarter. The deal doesn't close in 2027. So apparently the Warner's board is now back saying, okay, we have to look at whether this is a superior offer. They've got until next week to sort of make a decision about that, and then if they go back and say, okay, we'll consider it, then things reopen with Netflix. But, the shareholder vote could still go ahead as early as sort of the middle of next March if the SEC says you're fine.
I'm just looking, because last night I actually went to sell some of them. So their share price hasn't actually gone up as a result of this offer.
No, it's been off a little bit just lately. I think it dropped a wee bit, and likewise Netflix and so on. But, is it an offer they can't refuse, as Robert Duvall didn't say in The Godfather? That was Marlon Brando, another one of his great movies.
Right, and we're down a rabbit hole. Garth.
Completely interesting. Warner's put $8 million into the movie. Netflix offered $150 million to make the movie, but the director said, no, I want a big, wide theatrical release for this. So interesting, similar to what Paramount's offering. There you go. From Heathcliff back to Clifford Bay. We've covered the lot in business this morning.
We certainly have. Yes, in that time you could have seen the bloody movie. That was Garth Bray, Herald Now business host. We talk business every day thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. Love you, Garth. Right, we'll be back tomorrow from 7 o'clock. Thanks for watching, everybody. For more news in the meantime, head to nzherald.co.nz. Take care. If you are out in the weather today, particularly in Akaroa Banks Peninsula, looks like it's getting a bit of a hammering this morning. There will be updates at the Herald website on that too. A quick thanks to our partners this morning, Forsyth Bar, Barkers, Max and GJ Gardner from the team at the show. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you again tomorrow.